Hello, I'm Steve Maskery and welcome to a very chilly Workshop Essentials. Today I'm going to discuss an advanced router table technique called dropping on. There's dropping on and there's swinging in, and they both work in the same way, they both have the same risks, and we mitigate those risks in the same way as well. And dropping on is required when we want to produce a stopped slot like this. Maybe it doesn't even go all the way through. This one does. And I've already done this in a piece of 9mm MDF, and I've discovered that it's not thick enough. So I need to repeat it on something a bit thicker. I've got, this is about, I think this is 16mm MDF. So, what have we got here? Well, I've got a 1/4" cutter set up, and that eventually is going to come right the way through this workpiece. But to start with, it needs to be set really quite low. When you're cutting a stop cut, there's nowhere to start with for all the waste to go. It can't go out the back here because this isn't actually open, it's blocked by the workpiece. I do have dust extraction down this hole. There's a pipe underneath the hose that comes out here into my dust extraction system. But because that's quite a long way from here and this is quite a short piece, it doesn't actually do very much. So the waste that I produce actually gets clogged up in the workpiece itself. So I've got to take tiny cuts to make sure that it doesn't sort of get it all bunged up. So tiny cuts means a low cutter to start with. So I'm going to take off maybe just 1mm, 1.5mm, 1/16 of an inch. Right down low. That'll do. That'll do. Right. What else have we got here? Well, I've got 2 stops set up. This is just 2 pieces of scrap from the scrap box, and I've got 1 clamped at the back and 1 clamped at the front. Now, these 2 stops do 2 jobs. They ensure that I start and stop at exactly the same point for each pass as I'm taking more and more out. And they also provide, well, this one provides me with good support at the start of the cut, because we're going to start the cut with the cutter already spinning, and instead of moving it into it straight, we're going to drop on from above. And that means the edge of the cutter spinning is going to hit the workpiece. And if you're trying to do that by hand, it's going to try and push it back. So this stop here ensures that it falls straight onto the workpiece, and then I can push it through and then stop before I lift it off. So that does 2 jobs. So we're just about ready to start, I think. Some eyes and some ears. And this is how it works. And you can see now that even with dust extraction, it still gets bunged up because there isn't actually any airflow. For the next cut and subsequent cuts, there will be more airflow, but it's still not great. So all that needs to be got rid of. And we can see I've gone in about 2mm there, which is enough. It is enough. So now we raise the cutter a bit more. Let's give it a couple of turns. And do the same thing all over again. Now you can see that this is actually getting cleaner as we go deeper, because there is some air input from the hole around the cutter, and as we remove material from in here, there's more space. So there's more space, more airflow, and you get a cleaner cut. That's as it's come off the machine now. I haven't had to scrape that out. So we're getting there. In fact, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. Let's go a bit more. Are we through at that? This should be the last one. And there we have one nice slot all the way through, clean, finished, job done. Now, that slot has gone through the surface of the board, but sometimes you want a stopped groove in the edge of a board. And for that, I would probably use a slotting cutter like this, or a slitting cutter. This has actually got two cutters on it at the moment. I'm not quite sure why I've got it set up like that. Must have been for some job. But if that was horizontal, spinning horizontally like that, as opposed to vertically like the one I've got in, then you would cut a slot in the edge in exactly the same way. Start against the stop, swing it in, push forward as far as the second stop, and then swing out again. And then it's called swinging in. But dropping on, swinging in, exactly the same way of going about it with exactly the same risks, because you don't want to avoid that kickback, and exactly the same precision. So there you go, 2 advanced techniques for your router table. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next time, enjoy your cosy workshop. Cheerio.